Let us move along now and say hello to our next guest. Going to be joined by two off the bat here, and they really need no introduction, although just a couple of weeks ago, they made some massive news in the world of wrestling. Not pro wrestling, but Real American Freestyle Wrestling. They announced that they'll be launching this brand new promotion, which will kick off in August in Cleveland, giving an opportunity to collegiate wrestlers, amateur wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers to not have to go down the path of pro wrestling or mixed martial arts like has been the case in the past, but to actually continue down this wrestling path, if you will. I hate to call it amateur wrestling because that makes it seem like it's less than, but that's how some people would categorize it. In the end, though, it's going to be something very interesting to watch, progress, and evolve. We do have 2/3 of the founders of Real American Freestyle Wrestling joining us. Again, two individuals who need no introductions, legends in their own right. The great Eric Bischoff and the one and only Hulk Hogan joining us right now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the launch. It's great to see you both again. Hulk, I'll start with you. Can you take us back to the beginning, the embryonic stages? How does this all come across your radar? How does this all kick off for you?
Well, I've got a new way to call it. It's pro wrestling.
Okay, there it is. Double pro.
Pro wrestling. This is pro wrestling, brother. This is the elite of the elite. It came across the radar, because we're always looking for these openings, like when a beer company dropped its marketing plan, made a mistake. We started Real American Beer, and there was an open lane. The George Foreman Grill was like an open lane. Wish I'd have been a little quicker on that one. But then all of a sudden, when we were looking at TV and stuff, we saw what was going on with UFC, of course, what was going on with the company that I'm with, WWE. And we kind of saw, because Eric's been all over the place as far as producing TV and being part of it and actually running one of the largest companies ever at the time, back in the 90s when I was part of it. We saw that reality TV and scripted stuff wasn't as strong as the new stuff that was taking off, sports. And all of a sudden, TV sports such as Shaun White's snowboarding league, such as the girls' volleyball league, those type of things were starting to take off and get a lot of traction. And all of a sudden, somewhere in between UFC and WWE, there was a market that was really underserved, and that was the amateur wrestlers, the gold medalists, the Olympians, the NCAA champions, the world's champions. They would spend their whole life doing something they loved from 4 or 5 years old, and then when they get to the peak of their career and they'd won a gold medal, or they became the NCAA champion or 10-time world champion, there was nowhere else to go. So when we saw that, we basically, Eric and I started talking with our partner Chad, and we didn't want to compete with UFC. We didn't want to compete with WWE, but we wanted the opportunity to be as big as them. And, we put our heads together and we started this freestyle league, and all of a sudden, man, it's like jumping on that lightning bolt of Hulkamania. We made the announcement. Everybody's coming to the table, so it's real exciting, and that's kind of like where the key got turned.
Eric, I know we spoke maybe just a couple of months ago, and you were telling me you're happy. Life is good. You've got your podcast, 83 Weeks, your YouTube channel. You make the appearance here or there. Now you're jumping into the deep end, launching a brand new promotion, which takes a lot of time and effort. Why do you want to be a part of this?
It's a little bit like getting the opportunity to take over WCW, although WCW was around before I got there. But I had the unique opportunity to try to turn that company around and did, which is almost the same thing as what we're doing here. For me, it amounts to the opportunity to build something and to do something that no one else has ever done. That's, I'm an entrepreneur by nature. I have been my entire life. And when there's an opportunity to do something that's never been done before, do it on a large scale, and particularly do it in an area like freestyle wrestling, because I've just got so much respect for the athletes. I put my toe in the water in high school, and, after high school for a couple of years in Greco and freestyle. I was never really very good. On my best day, I was pretty average, but I loved it. And I got to know the people in it and really respect them for being the individuals they are, and just how physically demanding and tough these athletes are. So when Hulk gave me a call and Chad, and it was like, wait a minute, you mean You want to know if I'm interested in an opportunity to help build a new sport? Not that the sport is new, but the opportunity is to build a new opportunity and create a professional sports league, something that's never been done before in this category. Oh, hell yeah, count me in. And I couldn't be more grateful.
Hulk, as you know, sometimes when we see things of this nature get announced, launch with celebrities of your stature, mega celebrities, they're more just figureheads. They just kind of put their name attached to it and go on and worry about another project. How involved are you actually going to be in this promotion?
Well, I'm there, boots on the ground. The weird thing is, me not being an amateur wrestler, it's really strange. But I've been around so many of these great amateur wrestlers that have crossed over into the pro wrestling business, such as a Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle. And there are so many of them that at the end of the day, I didn't realize, because I'm an old man now, I'm 71 years old, but I didn't realize how many of these amateur wrestlers actually grew up watching Hulk Hogan. And I didn't realize what a bond I had with him, because some of these guys, like my stepson right now, he's 16. He got into amateur wrestling because he was out in Madison Square Garden with me when I was making a huge announcement in the Garden a few months ago. And he heard the crowd and he goes, "Oh my gosh, Dad, what was it like when you wrestled?" I said, "It was like that, but louder." And so I had no idea that all these amateur wrestlers basically were really kind of like hooked into me one way or the other, or felt like they knew me one way or the other. So for me to be able to sit there with Eric's vision, and for Eric to be able to tell these backstories and watch these guys at home and how they got to where they are, I really feel that one of the things I was really worried about is when I met all these wrestlers, we went to Ohio and Wisconsin, we met with all the coaches and the teams and stuff. I was worried that it would just be like flat. But these kids have been watching TV. They've been watching wrestling. They've been watching UFC. They've been watching Conor McGregor. And all these kids that I didn't know what to expect, they all got that swagger, man. And so I think that somewhere along the line, I don't want to create like superstars. I want mega stars out of these guys, because these guys are the real deal. And when I say it's pro wrestling, it really is. And so I think I have a connection with these guys, and I think I can help them. Not with the amateur wrestling stuff, but with everything else that goes along with that. Organically, nobody's going to be a bad cop or, Doink the Clown or something like that. These guys are going to organically grow into these mega stars, and they're going to start feeling their oats. And I really, really think that I can have a lot to do with helping them like that.
Eric, for you, in the year 2025, if you don't have some kind of rights deal, streaming deal, TV deal, it's hard to, get your entity off the ground. I know it was just announced a couple of weeks ago, and you've been asked about this, but would be remiss if I don't ask you, what are the plans in terms of how this will be broadcast to the world?
Well, there's two answers. In the short term, as a matter of fact, as soon as we're done with this, I have a call with a major platform that everybody would know about and recognize. We may end up there, we may not. We are going to end up on a platform on August 30th. We're in discussions. I don't even want to call them negotiations. I want to be really straightforward with you on this. We're in discussions with two different platforms. Like I said, one in the next 45 minutes. I'm confident that we're going to land a streaming opportunity, and it may be cable or broadcast. But time will tell. It's a challenge in that, the exciting thing about creating something new and something that nobody's ever done before is, if you're successful, it's a major accomplishment. The downside is you've got to convince somebody that, you've got to convince a network or a platform that your vision is real and that we can execute on it and we can build on it. But so far, those conversations have gone great. I'm not concerned that we won't have a platform. I'm only concerned with which one it will be and how it will work for us.
Okay, so that is something to look out for. Could I ask you, Hulk, a very pointed question, but running a promotion, launching one isn't cheap. Who's the money behind this? Who's paying for all these great athletes that you guys are signing and putting on these big events?
Eric is.
Okay.
No, just kidding. No, just kidding. We're funded by Left Lane Capital, And they basically are in the live sports. They started the Shaun White. We talked about that earlier, the Shaun White snowboarding league, the girls volleyball, the guys that actually play chess. They've got a whole league for that too. So they were really excited when we stepped up to the line with this idea, and they're the horsepower behind us.
Okay. Eric, I know that you are somewhat, you're a student of the game, and you probably know that there was a promotion some 23 or so years ago called Real Pro Wrestling that tried to launch something like this back in the day. And they had names like Daniel Cormier and King Muhammad Lawal. And in the end, they didn't really get off the ground. They didn't have great success. Anything that you guys have learned from what they did or didn't do that you're hoping to implement with your promotion?
Not familiar with what their efforts were, certainly familiar in their attempt. So I can't really analyze what they've done and what we can learn from that. But in my experience, look, we know we have a good idea. The reason most good ideas don't succeed is because they're either not well funded, we don't have that issue, or they have a challenge in execution. I don't think we've got a problem there either. We look, don't want to sound cocky, we know we've got our work cut out for us. Creating the drama that we need to create to attract a mainstream television audience, not just amateur wrestling friends and family, but I'm talking about a mainstream audience so that we can be successful long term and create sponsorship opportunities and create the megastars, as Hulk was referring to. That takes more than just putting people on TV. We've got to want to know these characters. And that's one of the things that we're going to focus on. We're going to learn about these people. We're going to learn what drives them. We're going to learn about their successes. We're going to spend more time learning about their challenges and failures. We're going to do all the things we can do to bring these characters to life so that people can connect and relate to them. And we've got a lot to work with. I'll be scheduling some interview time with Kennedy Blades here within the next couple of hours. So anxious to sit down with her and capture her because she's an amazing young woman. I just can't wait. And she's just one of many of these elite athletes that we know we can bring to the mainstream. But it's going to take time. It's going to take work. But again, we're well funded. I think everybody has an appreciation for the amount of time, work, and effort that's going to go into this. And it's going to be a challenge, but I feel really, really good about it.
Hulk, you don't need me to tell you this, but I think you're in a real interesting point in your life and career, because I think that there's a sector of people who were with you in the 80s, who rided with you, who will always ride with you and always support you. And obviously there are some fans who don't feel that same way anymore, who have turned against you, and we see you at Raw and they boo you when you come out. But then there are other fans who want to support your beer or whatever product that you're attached to. How do you feel, without beating around the bush, how do you feel about your relationship with the public right now, your relationship with the people, especially coming off the last time we saw you on a major stage was that Netflix show back in January at the Intuit Dome?
Well, they're still nipping at my heels. I can go out there and get booed. As actually the last time I was in LA, I was Hollywood Hogan with a black beard and doing the bad guy thing. I can go out there and get booed in LA, or The Rock can get booed in LA, or John Cena gets booed in LA. But when I get booed, there's a whole different reaction media-wise. For some reason, I've laid some type of groundwork that people are still interested in what I'm doing. And so for those that are on the team and are riding with the train to the station, that's great. For those that are the haters and still have a problem with me, there's nothing I can do to fix that except, just keep proving by my actions that, I'm still in the game. I'm still pushing hard. I took a lot of time off because I had like 25 surgeries and I was down for a long time. And, I've always loved the hunt. I've always loved to get back in the game, but it's always been that way with me because my whole career, I had that top spot no matter what it was. Even through the 80s, it was the fastest draw. During the 80s, it was just a situation where everybody was knocking me. Everybody was trying to knock me off that top spot. I'll trade that for not being on the bottom of the card, if you know what I'm saying, or being on the bottom of the pile of life. So for me, it's just part of the territory. I mean, it's kind of like, when you get booed and then you get 3.2 billion engagements all of a sudden, and you rock that whole world in LA with how much interaction there was on the internet, I'll take it.
Okay, so after that, you didn't view that as some sort of like indictment on the state of your career, how people feel about you. You felt like they were just booing the
Oh,
character.
no, all the above, all the above. There are certain people that, boo the character. There are certain WWE superstars that had an opinion and they had advice for me. But I would like to ask those same guys when I go to New York or Chicago and the people cheer, out of the rooftops. I would like to know what their advice is then and what their opinion is. So it's a double-edged sword with me. And it's always been that way. It's part of the character. It's part of, me personally. It's part of my professional life. It's part of my personal life. It's all the above. I mean, and at the end of the day, I'm just like an old scarred up seal with a bunch of scars on me. And I'm really relatable to most normal people because a lot of people have been through a lot of stuff I have professionally. A lot of people have made not the same mistakes, but personally made mistakes. And I'm still relatable to so many people. If they boo me, fine. If they're on the team lead, that's great too. So not hating on anybody, brother. I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. And it's kind of like the old Rocky movie. It depends on how hard you can get hit, get back up and keep moving forward. And brother, I'm always leaning into the wind.
I appreciate that. You guys teased that there was a third man. Let's bring in the third man, and he is someone who knows this world of wrestling better than anyone. I've known him for a very long time myself, has coached some of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, and of course, some of the greatest Olympic and collegiate wrestlers of all time. Izzy Martinez now joining us. Hello, Izzy. How are you, my man? Hey there. Sorry to interrupt. Just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up too. We've got live shows, interviews, clips, and a whole lot more going on this here channel. All right, now back to the show.
I'm good, brother. How are you, man? Good to see you.
It's great to see you. And so let me ask you, when you got the call regarding teaming up with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan to launch something like this about a sport that is so near and dear to your heart, what was your initial reaction?
Well, it's kind of a crazy story. Hulk has a partner in the beer business, Chad Bronstein, and Chad brought his son to our wrestling school, kind of built a small relationship with him, and we were kind of pitching back and forth this idea. And, in the meantime, I was building a relationship with Hulk Hogan and going on some of his beer tours and just got a chance to connect with the Hulk and just, see how badass he was and his passion for life. And, I was explaining to him my passion for the sport of wrestling and MMA. And, there was always there was something to do there with Chad in the background, kind of putting it all together. We kind of presented Hulk, and Hulk's like, man, I ain't going anywhere without my boy Eric Bischoff. So it was a fast dream kind of come true with a lot of guys that I respect the heck out of. And that, I believe that we could take the sport forward. When it was an idea, it was an unbelievable idea for me because I always dream of building the sport better and leaving it a better place. And I knew that we could do something powerful with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan and Chad Bronstein.
Hulk, I saw you on Fox News. You refer to Izzy as sort of like your source, your plug to this world. He's the guy that's getting you all the big names, and you've announced some of them already. David Carr, Kyle Dake. Eric mentioned, Kennedy as well, Kennedy Blade. So
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Is that accurate? Like, is he kind of?
No, it is completely accurate. I mean, Izzy's the linchpin. I mean, this is all about relationships. Life's all about relationships, and he's been in the game so long that when we went to Izzy, Izzy kind of like built the foundation of this whole situation for us to get to these wrestlers, to talk to them, to tell them what our plan was. If it wasn't for Izzy, we'd still be stuck in the mud, but Izzy's the one that laid out the groundwork, and he had the relationship. He approached these wrestlers and told them what our vision was. And Izzy's got so much stock in the game, and people, believe in him so much, they took a second look when Izzy spoke to him. So I call him our linchpin.
Not trying to put you on the spot here, Eric, but sometimes this is how it goes. One of the names that was announced as being part of the promotion is Kyle Snyder, but we found out this morning that he was arrested. Is he still going to be a part of the promotion?
Yeah, I just I read about that about an hour ago. Actually, I've been on the phone all morning, and so look, we'll talk about it internally. I don't know enough about it, the facts, to comment on it here. Other than to say, I don't know how old Kyle is, But, as a young man or woman, once you start reaching certain levels of success in life and people know who you are, it becomes even more critical that you are careful
Yes.
in the way you conduct yourself, whether it's in the business or away from the business. And I'm sure Kyle is just based on the headlines. I've never met him. I don't know him, but I'm pretty sure I'm right that he's embarrassed. Friends and family probably very embarrassed. And like I said, we'll figure it out. We'll take a look at it and discuss amongst us what's the best course of action given the information. But that's all I know for right now.
Fair enough. One name that jumped out to me, Izzy, was Ben Askren. Is Ben Askren coaching or is he actually competing?
All right, so Ben actually, we do a lot of business together with the Premier National League. We built a 32 team league in the United States of all the best clubs. So Ben's like I am. I mean, he wrestles every day with the guys. He loves wrestling. We always talk about growing the sport. We always talk about doing something really cool. And when this opportunity was available, it was a no-brainer to bring Ben in. I mean, Ben took some bad couple losses, and he's better than that. So I think also just with his he's been on every card. He knows what's going on in the sport. Just to be an advisor was the first step I had with Ben. And then I was teasing him like, hey, Ben, I got a couple guys that you could wrestle. And Ben's like, man, I'd actually love to wrestle. So that's kind of where we are right now. Ben's going to wrestle a couple matches. He's a huge part of this, just in the backs, building relationships with us, getting us Parker Keckeisen, getting us certain guys from his team. And also he wants to compete. He can wrestle. I've seen him practice a couple times. I'd like to see him battle too, and I'm sure the fans do.
Hulk, there's a team element to collegiate wrestling and also Olympic wrestling. It's Team USA versus Team, Canada, etc. But one thing that I think combat sports, especially when you get to like prize fighting, it's very individual. It's all about like you versus that guy, who's the better man. Are you guys going to go more team based, or is it going to be like the UFC, for example, every man, woman for themselves, rankings, and then a champion at the top of a weight class?
Brother, I'm laughing under my breath. When we were naming wrestlers, did I say Aaron Rodgers, the football player, or Aaron Brooks?
You said Rodgers, but I didn't want to correct you. You're the Hulkster.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. That'd be big news, by the way.
Aaron Rodgers may be looking for work a little bit later in the season.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Ariel, we're going to do individual format based like the UFC. We're going to have champions. We're going to have belts. We're going to do the storylines. We're going to do it as best we can to showcase the greatest sport in the world, wrestling. Whether it's scripted or unscripted, it's the greatest sport in the world.
Okay, so Izzy, can I ask you, can guys like Wyatt Hendrickson, who just won the heavyweight championship, can collegiate athletes sign with you guys as well, or do they have to have been graduated?
So we're actually we're talking to all the top wrestlers. We've signed 30, almost 40 wrestlers so far. We have some of the top athletes. We got an NIL deal for the college athletes that are currently in college. And we also got a couple of high school NIL deals out to the top high school wrestlers in the world. So it's going to be awesome. We got the best of the best.
Okay. That is Gable Steveson, I think, is another name that people would love to see involved as well. So there's a lot of big names out there. I don't want to keep you guys too long because I know you have a big meeting coming up. Eric, you alluded to that. But Hulk, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you, because we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. We were comparing Cena's turn to your turn in '96. My hypothesis, I guess my take on it all was nothing will ever be bigger than your turn. And I'm not just saying it because you're here. You can go back and find the clip. Yours was seismic. Yours changed the industry. No one saw it coming. I could go on, but no one better than you to ask this question to. Can you compare your turn in '96, going to Hollywood, Hogan, joining the NWO? Eric was a huge part of that as well. Shout out to my friend Mark Ramundi, who has his book coming out next month called what is it? Say Hello to the Bad Guys.
Say Hello to the Bad Guys.
Tremendous book. To what John Cena did just a couple of months ago.
Well, I think when Eric and I pulled that off on the Daytona Bash at the beach, I think it was really organic, because when Scott Hall came in and then Kevin Nash came in, it actually looked like they were still working with the WWE or WWF. So that all of a sudden, when I came down as the third man, nobody knew more about that organization than me. And when I turned, and you feel that white heat where it gets quiet, and then all of a sudden they start throwing everything into the ring, I told Kevin and Scott, I said, there's a real good chance they could be coming here in a second. And when I saw Mean Gene get hit in the nose with a battery and he was bleeding like a pig, I said, Gino, you need to get out of here because this could get real crazy. That was so intense that you could feel in that building how much hatred they had for me, for turning and destroying all the kids with the training prayers and vitamins. I did it for the money. It was just so evil. I think it had a whole different level of storytelling and stabbing someone in the back. The turn with Cena was good, but I think they were just two different things at two different times.
What do you think, Eric?
I think Hulk's right. You know, the Who's the Third Man, which was incidentally Hulk's idea to kind of recreate the Who's the Third Man, to introduce Izzy and to get a lot of attention on this launch. And I think we got like 10.3, I don't even know, it was like millions and millions and millions of hits. So it was a good idea. But I think the reason it worked is because that turn was part of a storyline. Scott Hall came down. My big buddy's going to come next week. Kevin Nash shows up. Then for weeks, the whole story was who is their third man. With Cena's turn, it was more spontaneous. It wasn't a part of an arc. It was more of an angle, so to speak, more of an incident as opposed to part of a story. And I think because Hulk's was part of a story, number one, that successfully created a lot of anticipation. People were genuinely wanting to know who was that third man. And when Hulk Hogan came down in his red and yellow, and Randy Savage was laying on the mat, everybody assumed Hulk was there to make the save until he wasn't. And I think that dramatic turn of events based on a episodic story is what made that work so well. I think if Hulk Hogan would have turned spontaneously, it still would have had a major implication. But because it was part of a story, it has become legendary, and everything else is compared to it.
Hulk, you seem to have taken to it very well, being the bad guy. How would you grade how John has taken to it 2 months in?
Well, it's hard to explain because we ran as a pack. I mean, you know, when we did stuff, when we were spray painting Ted Turner's TV trucks, I mean, we were doing stuff that was not in the script. It basically, we were outside the lines, some of the stuff we did. We got kicked out of Disney because Kevin Nash took Rey Mysterio and he lawn darted him into the side of a trailer. I mean, the people that were watching live TV called the cops on us, and Disney put the boots to us. We ran as a pack, where in the beginning of this thing with Cena, it was Cena and The Rock who said cut his throat, and then it wasn't. It was more of Cena individually running, you know. So it's just hard to explain. No, you'd had to be there, brother.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I was just watching the other day, and Cena came out, and it was a tight shot on Cena in front of a crowd. It was in a match, and the crowd is chanting "Thank you, Cena," while he's trying to get heat. You know, so I'm not sure the audience has really bought into it the same way that you really want them. You want that heat. We always use that term. We throw it around like everybody knows what it means. And I guess there's different degrees or variations of heat. But what Hulk had was they wanted to see him hurt. You know, they wanted to see Kevin and Scott, yours truly. They wanted to see us literally get our asses kicked, not like for pretend on TV. That's a different level of heat. And I don't think John's there yet.
Fair enough. Izzy, while we're talking business, your guy John Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? What can you tell us?
You know what? I got to call Brandon Gibson. You know, I get updates every now and then. He's doing great, but you know, I'm focused. I got the P&L. Now we just started the Real American Freestyle, and the Izzy Wrestling School is bigger and better than ever. So, you know, I got a lot going on, but in my personal opinion, John fights him, John wins. I mean, John's the best fighter in the world, and there's nothing like him.
Last one for you, Hulk. Finally, how many events in 2025? What are you guys shooting for? And then 2026, can you lay the table for us here as far as what you guys are trying to launch?
Well, we've been talking about doing 10 to 12.
Wow.
I mean, that to me, that scares the hell out of me. But I think this first one's going to set the tone, and I think the timing's perfect. I think we're in the right place, Cleveland. So I really feel that I think we've got 4 or 5 in a row set up, right, Eric? out of the chute.
Yeah, we're looking. I mean, on paper right now, we're looking at one event per month, and we're
Yeah.
also looking at creating ancillary content. Non-scripted shows, much like
Right.
The Ultimate Fighter did, and we've seen so many competition elimination formats work because that's an opportunity to bring these wrestlers into people's homes and get to know them and get to know the sport. A lot of what we have to do is to educate the audience on what freestyle wrestling really is. If you go back 20 years ago and take 20 guys out of a bar and say, what's a rear naked choke? They would look at you like they wouldn't know what you're talking about. It sounds like something you'd see in a porn scene, right? Now you take 20 guys out of a bar and they'll demonstrate a rear naked choke. And that's because the UFC has done a great job of educating the audience as well as entertaining them with the sport. That's one of the things that we need to do too. So it's just going to be a fun journey, Ariel.
Well, I wish you guys the best. Good luck to you. Congrats on the launch. Good luck with all the meetings. Really curious to see where you end up as far as streaming platform, television network. That to me is a huge component to all of this. You all know that better than I do, and we will be watching. So good luck. Thank you, Hulk. Appreciate your time.
Ariel,
Yes.
brother, Ariel, would you please come to our first event?
Oh, wow. On the spot. You're putting me on the spot right now. Is this us coming together? Is this the handshake?
It could be, brother. It could be. You're going to be friends with me. You're going to get some heat. Get ready.
No, I know. Maybe I should take it back. I don't know. Maybe I should do one of
Hey,
these.
he's already friends with me, Hulk, so he's feeling it. So it's all good.
No, we'd love to have you there, brother.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and all the best to you guys. We'll definitely look to do that. That's August 30th in Cleveland, event number 1. So good luck. Thank you all for coming on. Appreciate the time very much.
Thank you, Ariel.
And good luck in the next few months as well as you get ready to kick things off.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
There they are, the trio looking to launch Real American Freestyle Wrestling. Hulk Hogan is the lead commissioner. The chief media officer is Eric Bischoff. And the COO of Real American Freestyle is Izzy Martinez, has coached the likes of John Jones, Yair Rodriguez, Clay Guida, Holly Holm, has been there alongside some of the best collegiate and Olympic wrestlers, certainly hailing from the United States. Going to be interesting. That Kyle Snyder story is a wild one. This just happened this morning. It came out this morning. Olympic gold medalist Kyle Snyder was arrested this past Friday by Columbus police as part of a prostitution sting in the city. Columbus police confirmed the arrest to MMA Fighting. I'm reading this on MMAfighting.com on Monday. After local outlet 10 TV first reported the news, Snyder, 29, was one of 16 men charged during the sting after police led an undercover operation to crack down on prostitution in Columbus. Police posted escort ads online as part of the operation and then used the responses to set up potential arrests. Snyder reportedly called and texted the number listed in the ad around 8:15 on Friday and agreed to meet the escort at a local hotel. After arriving, Snyder allegedly paid an undercover officer cash and requested oral sex, and he was then arrested for engaging in prostitution, released at the scene. He is due in court on May 19th. He was the youngest U.S. wrestler to capture gold in 2016, then won silver in 2020. Tried to get a third in 24, but fell short. So there you have it. Real American Freestyle Wrestling. Who's excited? Ultimately, it all comes down to the rights deal.
I'll give it a watch. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Cleveland, brother.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm in.
We're going to sit there in the front
Roadshow.
row with our Real American beer.
I'm in there.
Yeah, man.
You need a platform,
Yes.
a DAZN. Who knows? Is it a Warner Brothers? Is it a DAZN? Is it an Amazon? Is it, all the usual suspects?
Yep.
Or you initially go on YouTube and just get the word out there. There's obviously the Flow Wrestlings of the world who are big into this. There's the Fight TVs, or I guess it's the Triller TVs. But I think in order to be truly successful, you need to you need one of those big platforms. If you look online, if you look up the Real Pro Wrestling YouTube videos, there's some classic ones with DC and King Mo. They tried this. And I would urge everyone involved, whether it's those three gentlemen or anyone behind the scenes, like those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. What did we say about GFL? And I'm not suggesting this is going to happen to them, but definitely read up, watch, learn, speak to those involved. Back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, 2002, 2003, so that you don't repeat the same mistakes. But it's always been a very interesting thing. Like, you see how popular collegiate wrestling, it's a very niche thing, Olympic wrestling, amateur wrestling, and they'll have the championships and they'll sell out. They sold out Wells Fargo Center in Philly back in March, but it never took that next step. And so most of those guys have to go either, you'll go to the Olympics and then you'll try to either become a pro wrestler, an MMA fighter, or you just go back to coaching. That's usually the three options out there. But if they could get like the Ben Askrens of the world or some guys who are connected to MMA and pro wrestling, Gable would be one of those. I think you'll get the casual fans to watch as well. So I'm curious.
Yeah, and getting those names is also the best pipeline to getting more talent, right? Because if I'm, XYZ wrestler, this is a viable path for me. I'm telling my buddies, hey, this could be something for you too. And then all of a sudden it starts to snowball. So yeah, they've got the right elements so far, but I think you're right. Like, the distribution is going to be a very, very important next step.
No secret that Hogan was booed vociferously back in January. I actually thought he was going to kind of like dance around the question. He kind of just owned up to it. Now, whether they're booing the character or booing the guy for what he's done, what he said, what he stands for, I guess is up to interpretation, and he's viewing it more from a character standpoint, it seems like. But yeah, he sort of answered it, and
yeah, he took it pretty head on. He basically said, "I'd rather be booed than not recognized at all." Right? I'm still who I am, and so he's not shying away.
Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.